Hey everybody, how is everyone? Welcome, welcome. I'm hoping that you can hear me okay. Apparently my regular microphone did not connect correctly. So it's going off of my iPhone microphone currently instead of my big mic. So if someone can just let me know down in the comments that there aren't any issues with hearing me, and I'll jump right in. My name is Charlene. I am on the design team here for Picket Fence Studios, and most Tuesdays I go live at 12 o'clock Central, and I make a fun card using items from the new release from Picket Fence Studios, and we go over different techniques and tips and tricks and lots of fun stuff like that. I see that there are some people coming in here. I am going to just check something here real quick because I am worried that people cannot hear me as a result of my microphone not being set up correctly today. So let's see, bear with me everyone. I promise we will dive in to a card shortly. Okay. Oh, good. Hi, Dawn. Hi, Kathy. Hi, everybody. I'm starting to see those pop through. Yay. Okay, hopefully you can hear me. Hopefully the sound quality is okay. But let me take you down to my desk. We're going to be doing a really fun mixed media card today, and we are going to be doing some cool techniques. So let's drop down here. Here we go. I'm gonna grab a drink of my water. So we're gonna make this fun card with all kinds of different mixed media stuff going on in it. And it is not difficult to do, it's just a lot of steps. So I am gonna jump right in because I probably am gonna use every minute of this hour to get it done. We're gonna be working with the Octopi My Thoughts stamps and coordinating dies, and then we're going to use one of the 3.5 inch connected circle shaker creator dies to cut a circle, and we're going to be working with the Ocean Waves 6x8 stencil. So we'll start out with a piece of watercolor paper. And you'll want to have, anytime I'm doing a watercolor or ink smushed background, I like to use either a silicone mat or some type of craft mat where the water and the color is going to bead up instead of kind of just becoming a puddle. I want it to bead. That's how we get all of that fun texture onto our background. So we'll start with this. We're going to work with the Hydrangea blue paper splatter is what it's called. So I'm just going to drip a couple of drops on here. And I think like, oh, I don't know, a month ago or so, maybe 2 months ago, I did a card where I die cut pieces from a mixed media background, and it was a feather card. Let me know in the comments if you were here and you saw that. So that's something else you can do for your backgrounds, is you can die cut from them. But today we're creating a fun mixed media background. So I just like to get the water in there. And then I just take some kind of, you could use your finger, but I don't like to get messy. So I like to kind of swirl this into the water. And you see how that's beading up rather than just becoming a puddle? That's because of this work surface that we're working with. Now, when you lay your paper down, you do want to give it some time to kind of soak up the water. Because if you lift it up right away, it's not going to have a chance to get wet because it doesn't have a chance to soak into the fibers. So we'll pick it up. So there's our first go. And then you're gonna wanna dry in between each layer. That's the other key to getting a really fun mixed media background, is to dry between all of the layers. Oh, hi Arlette, you saw that one? Good. Hi Jessica, welcome. Miss L, welcome, welcome. So the key really is layers when it comes to any kind of mixed media background. And I know mixed media is, for some people, kind of scary, but try it. If you've never tried it, give it a try. It is a lot of fun once you actually have done it a couple times. And if you're like me and you don't like to get messy, because a lot of people don't like to get messy and so they stay away from mixed media, there are definitely ways that you can do mixed media without getting messy. So like I'm gonna use my tweezers to hold my paper. So now I don't have to worry about getting my fingers yucky. So again, we're gonna dry between this layer before we dip into that water again. And I wanna get this background pretty much completely covered, but I do want to make sure that we have some fun spots and splotches and inky goodness. When you're drying in between each layer, you don't have to get it perfectly dry. It just needs to be not wet anymore, like not sopping wet, I guess. Oh, that one looks cool. And once you get down to this layer or level, I guess, you want to just kind of pick up whatever's left on your mat. The more little kind of splotchy spots that you have, that's going to give you really nice dots. So you see how it's picking up those dots. Whereas if you have like a big puddle like that over there, it's still going to give you some all over color. See how it made that all over color there? And I want more dots at this point in time, so I'm going to kind of stay away from that now that I've got my whole background covered there. Come in and dry. And another way you can do this, if you are not wanting to do the smushing style like I'm doing here on my mat, you can actually use a piece of cellophane or acetate. I think cellophane works a little bit better, which is like stamp packaging. And you can put this on the packaging, put your watercolor on there with a little bit of water and lift it and smush it on top of the paper. So there's a couple of different ways you can do this. All right, I think we're pretty much good. I think that's gonna look nice. So I'm going for an ocean background here. And the fun part, I will say, about mixed media is that it doesn't have to be, like you can be a little bit more wild and free with it, right? So this looks like splashes of water, but I'm gonna make it into the ocean. And it's gonna look cool. And nobody can tell me I can't do that, because it's card making. You can do whatever you want when you're card making. If you have little spots that might be taking a little longer to dry, you can always tap those off to get some of the ink off, or you can just wait. But I'm impatient, especially because I'm doing a live. So we're gonna do scene building today. Now, I feel like scene building is not something you see very often with mixed media. Oftentimes you do scene building with, stamps and dies, and you're not doing you're not creating a scene, right? Hi, Nicole, yay! See, Nicole agrees. Absolutely. So with a scene with mixed media, what's fun about that is you can make it really three-dimensional and add in all these textures and different things that you would never be able to get with just a stamp and ink. So when you are thinking about scene building, consider doing mixed media, because you can use your sprays and your pastes and all of that goodness in order to create a scene. think about like, what could you use your texture paste for example. Today we're going to be using our paper glaze velvet to create sand. So you could use it to create the sky, clouds in the sky, or you could use it to create the bushes on your card if you're creating an outdoor scene. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. I know Nicole loves mixed media. Cards are her jam for sure. I know she does some really beautiful mixed media stuff. All right, we are going to set this aside for a moment, and I'm kind of going outside the order I normally would if I was making this card off camera, but I'm just sort of taking into account dry times with things, and hopefully I don't get anything all over my fingers, but we'll see. So I'm just using 80-pound Nina for this, and I'm going to be doing some alcohol ink coloring. Hi Rhonda. And normally you guys know I use a different paper when I'm doing alcohol inks, but because I'm going to be doing zero shading, I'm not worried at all about how much the type of paper, because I'm just going to do one quick pass with my marker in order to get some color on these pieces. So I'll come in with my black hybrid ink, and I'm going to stamp out these 3 C elements here. And this is from that You Octopi My Thoughts stamps and dies. And, ooh, did you guys see that? Yesterday I dropped my ink pad. I don't know how I did this. I dropped it. It fell off my desk, onto my pants, and onto the floor. And somehow I didn't have a single black mark on me. It was magic. It was magical. I was convinced. I was like, oh great, I'm ruined my jeans. I've probably got a huge black permanent spot on my carpet. Nope. Magically, the magical black hybrid ink pad did not cover me in ink. I was very pleased. All right, I double stamped that. You can see it's got all these fun little details on the coral and the grass there. So I'll set this aside and bring in my Olo markers. And we're just gonna color these up real quick. So for my coral, I'm gonna use some O2.4, which is just a really nice orange. And you can see I'm just kind of quickly coloring this in here. Doesn't need to be perfect. The other nice thing I think about mixed media is that it's very, very forgiving. So if something is a little bit messy, if your coloring is not perfect, if your colors have bled onto each other, it's fine, because it kind of looks like it was supposed to be that way. You can get away with a lot. Arlette, yes, I need to buy a lottery ticket. I don't know how that's possible. I was shocked. All right, we've got some yellow green. I love to use yellow greens when I am coloring in any kind of plant. And I usually use a yellow green for my main color, and then for my shading, I'll bring in a green. But since we're not doing any shading, I'm just gonna bring the yellow green in today and color in all of these little spots. And there we go. Boom, done. Yay. And for, I think this is coral as well, I'm not sure, but I'm gonna color this one in pink with some RV 0.2. You guys know I normally will, just in case on a live, I usually heat my ink just to make sure that I don't get any issues with ink running or smearing when I am trying to add my alcohol inks. I didn't do that this time. And I don't normally do it when I am not making a video. There's plenty of time for it to dry before I start coloring. But I didn't do it this time, and look, perfect. This ink is great. This is a fantastic black ink. It works so well for all kinds of different things. Okay, so I had a blue there. I'm gonna keep the blue because we're gonna use that for coloring around our piece once we have die cut it out. And the reason we're gonna do that is because when you want a Copic or alcohol marker colored piece to blend into your background, a really easy trick to do that is just to color around the edges of your piece with a similar color to whatever your background color is. And it'll kind of just blend in, and it's almost like masking without all of the trouble of masking. And then you get the added benefit of you can get the dimension from having the die cut pieces kind of pop off the page. Which piece is that? This one. So I'm using the coordinating dies here. And just as a reminder, if anyone's new here, welcome, first of all. Secondly, at the end of this live, I will be giving away my card. So if you want some happy mail coming to you, definitely be sure to leave a comment because I will be pulling the winner from the comments. Okay, we've got that done. Let's grab my die cutting machine and run this through. Like so. How is everybody on this Tuesday? I am really good today. I'm excited. I leave in 2 days on Thursday morning to go to create. I have a lot to do before then. It's been a busy week this past week. I had to get all of my kind of normal things I do for in the card making world. I had to get them all done in advance because I often spend time on the weekends doing them, and I'm not going to have any time this weekend. And then, as some of you know, I was on vacation last month, so I was playing catch up from vacation and also making sure I was a little ahead of the game so I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, you've got some sunshine. We had rain, heavy rain here yesterday. I'm just up north of Seattle, so we had rain and it was yucky. But today we've got some sunshine and it's supposed to be really super nice tomorrow and the next day. And of course I'm going to be gone, but my husband and my kids are happy. 2 more sleeps, Nicole. I know, it's so exciting. Okay, what am I doing? Losing my mind. Losing my mind. Oh, we're going to color this. 2 point... let's see. I don't know which one I want to do. Let's do 2.4. Now, my 2.4 was acting a little bit funky the other day. It's the first time I've ever had this, but it was like, there was like a bunch of ink coming out. So I don't know if it was the change in pressure or something going on or what. So I'm just going to color here rather than on the glass. I'm going to color it on top of a piece of cardstock. So that way if it does kind of decide to start putting out too much ink, that piece of cardstock underneath there can absorb the extra ink. So there's your tip for the day. If you ever have a alcohol ink marker that's kind of just a little too inky, you can try coloring some of it off and then opening, especially if you're working with a Copic, opening both sides and letting it lay flat on its side helps a lot. If you're working with an Olo, like I said, I've never had that happen before, but setting it aside with the cap off for a little bit, laying on its side, helped when it was doing it. And then also, just to be safe, like I said, you can color on top of another piece of cardstock. So that way that will catch any potential extra ink that's wanting to escape. So see how I'm just coloring right around the edges of the entire stamped image? That is going to make it so that this piece will blend in to our background. Look at that. See that? Just looks like it disappeared when you set it over there. And we'll do our grass here. Sorry if I'm being quiet, but always when I'm coloring, I feel like it's hard to think and color at the same time. I'm just not very good at that. Okay. But thankfully we don't have too much coloring on this card. Because I'm going to show you yet another way to color with mixed media that's not alcohol inks, okay? We're going to color our octopus. Oops, see what I mean? There it went. I don't know what's going on with you, 2.4. Why are you doing that? I don't know. So weird. I'll have to keep an eye on it. I wonder if it's like because of the weird like rain, no rain we've been having. Change in pressure or something. I'll report back to you guys if I'm still having problems. But like I said, it will not be noticeable because we are dropping it on that background and no one's going to notice. Thanks, Kathy. Yeah, it looks really good because it just creates that easy blend. I'm going to switch over to 2.2, guys. We'll do 2.2 on this one. It's not going to honestly be noticeable at all in the finished card because everything is going to look like it just sort of is a fun artsy piece. A fun built up art piece. Even though this is going to have some dimension, it's still going to mail really easily. And I'm gonna, you can see a couple spots I missed here. So I'll go there and there. Okay, here we've got those pieces. Move this out of the way. Next, we are going to bring in the Ocean Wave 6x8 stencil. Now, you could do a couple of different things with this stencil when you're doing mixed media. That would be really fun. But I am just going to sort of haphazardly do some inking. It's not really ink blending, inking through my stencil. Now, I know I'm going to cut this piece out with this circle. So I just am going to kind of decide. Yeah, I like this spot with that little bit of white in there. Where to focus my stenciling. So we're going to use white pigment ink for this. I have my unicorn white pigment ink. And I've got my paper pouncer, which is great for applying pigment ink. And these, I know the ink, I don't know if the pigment stickers are at the store, but I know the ink and the oxide stickers are online on Picket Fence Studios because I just ordered some and got them because I needed more. But I'm just gonna quickly add a fun little extra layer here, a little bit of detail. It's honestly not gonna be super noticeable, but it's going to kind of just add that little bit of extra. I don't know how else to describe it, you guys, but having stenciling with pigment ink, or any kind of ink for that matter, with your mixed media piece, it just adds this fun level of variation. Now you could use a paste through here as well. You guys know I'm a huge fan of using the paper glaze and the paper glaze Luxe to add a detail. The Arctic Fox, which you know is my favorite, would of course look fantastic through here. But I wanted to show you what a fun impact pigment ink can have, because I feel like white pigment ink is incredibly versatile and is not used enough by me. So I have made it my goal to use it more often, because it really is a cool product that can do all kinds of stuff. Okay, so you see how we've added that fun little detail, how it's not in your face, but it just takes it up a level to make it look watery, because you have those fun little wavy lines going through there. Super cool. Pigment ink does tend to stay wet for longer, you guys. You could add clear embossing powder and heat set this if you wanted to. Usually what I do is I just take my heat tool and run it over there for a few seconds. Oh yay, I'm so happy to hear that, Rhonda. Yes, play with watercolor. Yes. I hope you have some of the paper splatter. It is so fun. You can use it to create backgrounds like this. You can use it to paint with, which I'm going to do today. And you can use it for splatter. It is super versatile. I'm going to show you the splatter as well. So I'm going to be using it 3 different ways today to create just some fun, different textures, different styles on our card. So there we go, we've got that. Speaking of splatter, boom, you guys, we're knocking this out today. We've got the liquid white Snowflake. This is a really handy one to have on hand because it's good for splatter, and it is also good for mixing. If you want to add shimmery shine to another color of the paper splatter watercolor, you can add a drop of this and it will make it nice and shimmery. So we're going to put a drop here on an acrylic block. You could also do it on your work surface, whichever you prefer. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water. And I'm just doing that based on experience. I think it splatters a little bit better, at least the way that I want it to be, with a little bit of water in it. And the reason I'm using an acrylic block is there's a couple of different ways you can splatter, but I want some really kind of fine splatter here. So I'm just gonna take it off the edge of my acrylic block, just like I'm kind of just painting, you guys. Do you see that? Just doop. Only I'm painting down, so when it hits the edge of my acrylic block, it's gonna create force and cause it to splatter onto the paper. So this is gonna create lots of fun little shiny splecks. Specks. Splecks. The word for the day is splecks. Specks, you guys. Specks. Oh my gosh. Now I'm just gonna rinse my brush out here. So I'm gonna be using it for something else. Dry it off. And hopefully not lose it before I need it again. And we're gonna try this. Hopefully it won't take very long. Look, do you see it? Can you see it? I don't know if you can. Hold on, let me finish drying it. It's shiny. All those little specks look like little shiny bits of water. The nice thing about mixed media is if you're not happy, you can just add something. Like, you're never gonna, do you guys see those white dots? They kind of look white on camera. In person, they're shiny silvery. They're kind of all over the card now. So if you don't like something with mixed media, add a layer. Just add another layer. Add something else to it. You can almost always get to a point where you really like it. So we're gonna cut this out. And if you're wanting to get 2 for 1 and save like the outside, just be mindful of where you cut out your piece. But I'm just gonna cut it from there because I like that little center area. And then also what I will do often is I will save my scraps and put them in a little bin. And then next time I'm doing a mixed media card and I'm like, oh, I need something for the water, or I need a piece to represent a lake or a whatever, I'll look in my little scrap bin and then I can just like grab this out and die cut whatever I want from it. But here we go. Here's our fun water piece. Isn't that cool? I just love mixed media and how it's like one of those things you look at it and you're like, I don't know how that was done. That's wild, but it's cool. All right, next we are going to bring in our, where is it? Here it is. This month there was a 3-pack of paper glaze velvet, a sampler, which by the way, the samplers are a really good deal. And this came with, it's blue coral and what is it called? Cream puff? Great sea colors. These are called, let's look at what they're actually called. Tropical Cocktail, Clementine Preserves, oh that's a fun name, and Cream Puff. These go really well with all of the papers that were released this month as well. But I want this Cream Puff because this Cream Puff is the perfect color, and paper velvet dries to the perfect texture for sand. So let me grab a wet wipe real quick. And normally, you know, I will use this through a stencil, or I will use this to create a full background or different things like that. But you can use it as a kind of like the velvet in particular, as sort of like a modeling paste. So I'm just picking up little bits here and kind of smushing it down onto the edge of this piece. And with paper glazed velvet, whatever the texture is that you imprint on it, that's how it will dry. So we've got this, and I'm gonna put my grass here. This will also act as an adhesive as it dries, which is kind of cool. And then I'll put a little bit on top of there. See how I just buried it in the sand? Isn't that fun? And then I'm gonna put my pink coral kind of down here. We'll cover this in some of our fun little velvet. And then we're gonna put our orange coral piece. I'm actually going to use my tweezers to place this one so I don't get my fingers kind of yucky. I'm going to place this guy right down here, sort of in between these two. like so. And add a little bit of paste just right at the bottom. And I'm gonna add a little bit more over here. Now this will take a little bit of time to dry, but look at our fun piece. Isn't that cool? Look at all that fun sand we have down at the bottom of our ocean scene. You guys, I thought about doing this and I was like, I like almost pat myself on the back. I was so pleased with myself. Now, I have no idea if Nicole intended this to be used for sand, and that's why she included it in the bundle, but I was pretty pleased with myself. Okay, we're gonna set this over here. We're gonna let that dry. Just make sure to clean off your tools. The other nice thing about the paper glaze velvet is it does, because it takes a little bit more time to dry than say your Luxe or your straight paper glaze, it will, you have a little bit more time to do these kind of fun, like textured techniques with it. Let me set this, let me get a piece of, oh no, I've got our handy dandy scrap paper. I'm gonna set this on here like so and put it back here to dry. Whew. Okay, we're cooking. We're cooking with gas, as my grandpa used to say. We're gonna bring in another piece of white cardstock. Again, just using the Nina 80-pound white cardstock. Now you could use watercolor paper for this, what I'm about to do, if you wanted. If you were gonna do a lot of mixed media on it, I'm gonna be doing just a little bit, so I'm not worried about the fact that it's not watercolor paper. But keep in mind, regular cardstock will pill up if you put a lot of water on it and you're rubbing it with a brush. So it's up to you. I want to make sure that I get the real crisp lines from my octopus here. So, oh, and I'm getting ahead of myself, you guys. So I am going to do it on a smoother cardstock, which is not watercolor. Next up, we're going to ink blend just a little bit. And we're going to do it with pigment ink. So I'm using VersaFine Clair in Purple Delight. And I'm going to bring this up from the bottom pretty lightly. I want my octopus to be purple, but I want him to be lighter at the top. Excuse me. I'm gonna go drink water. There we go. I want him to be lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. So I'm kind of focusing this color towards the bottom of my piece of cardstock here. And you may be wondering, okay, I never see Charlene use pigment ink. Well, I do use it, just not as often as I use my other inks. But I have a very specific reason for using pigment ink today, because I am going to add watercolor with another one of the Paper Splatter watercolors, and I don't want my ink to be impacted by it. So pigment ink, it will not be affected, it will not change, it will not kind of give you like a splotchy effect or anything like that when you're working with water-based products, like water-based markers or with watercolors. Now, if you wanted that look, you would want to make sure to use a water-based dye ink. Ooh, sorry, that was squeaky. But I very specifically do not want that look. I want the color from the ink to stay exactly how I put it. So that's why. So keep that in mind. If you want to have this kind of look that I create today, then you want to make sure to use a pigment ink when you're doing it. But it still would look nice with a water-based dye ink. Oh, thanks, Nicole. I didn't see your comment. She's so nice. We're gonna hit this with our heat tool here. I'm gonna dry this because I am going to heat emboss my octopus on here. Now, pigment ink does take a while to dry, so if that's something else to keep in mind. If you're going to be doing heat embossing on it, it takes quite a while to make sure that that ink, which sits on top of the paper, is nice and dry before you do any heat embossing on it. I'm not super worried because I'm going to be heat embossing in clear, so it's not that big of a deal, but just something to keep in mind. Cool my paper down a little bit there. We're going to bring in our friendly neighborhood octopus here. And we're going to stamp him out. I'm only moving him because I want to get color in certain areas. Like, that's the only reason. All right. Our favorite anti-static powder tool. And let's get our embossing powder ready to go here, guys. Set this here. We're going to stamp again in the black hybrid ink. You can put clear embossing powder over this because it is a hybrid ink, so it stays wet for a little bit longer and is easy to add clear embossing powder on top of. Look at our little octopus. Isn't he cute? They are such cool creatures. I find them fascinating. Super duper smart. And the way they change color is so cool. I don't know if you've ever seen a video of an octopus changing color, but it's like mind-blowing. I don't know how they do that. Well, I mean, I do know, but I wish I could do that. How cool would that be to just like shimmer rainbow? Anyway, take this out of here. Add our clear embossing powder. I'm aggressively tapping it a little bit more than I normally would because my pigment ink is still just slightly wet on that paper. Hey Yvette, welcome. I'm gonna heat up my heat tool here, and oh, hi Christine. PNW represents. I am in Washington as well, and it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, friends. Okay, that should be hot. We'll melt this. I love how the like stamped ink just comes back to life when you heat up clear embossing powder. It's really just kind of fun. And isn't crafting just all about having fun, you guys? Like, I will tell you, as crazy, I don't know what I got on my paper there. As crazy as lives are, I love doing lives because I just don't have the time to really like overthink things. Dawn, you're in Seattle. I'm up north. I'm near Mill Creek. Yeah, so I am close. I lived in Ballard for a year when I first moved here, and couldn't find a house to save our lives. because as you know, the housing market is bonkers here. And so now we're up here by Mill Creek, and we've been here for a couple years now. I have no idea what I got on my paper. Weird. Anyway, let me clean up my space here. Oh, happy little... Oh, da, 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 da. You guys know I love this thing. I'm gonna wipe it with the wet wipe to get any of those darn little embossing bits. Embossing bits, you guys. They drive me bonkers. I don't like the way they feel. Weird texture thing for me. Let us die cut out our cute little octopus here. Grab some of my highlighter tape and line this up. Looks pretty good, I think. Oops, this is reused tape that I'm using, and it's kind of, I've reused it a couple times. So you can reuse your highlighter tape. We'll cut this out. Here we go. And a cool little octopus is gonna cut out. Look at him. He's so cool. Now you could do your heat embossing first and then add your ink, but because pigment ink is basically tiny little pieces of color that have been ground really fine, and then it's added to usually an oil-based solution. I think VersaFine Clear anyway is oil-based. It tends to stick on top of the embossing powder. So you can wipe it away off the melted embossing powder, but you're never gonna get as good of a color as if you used a water-based dye ink over your clear embossing powder. So just keep that in mind when you're picking inks to do any kind of emboss resist or watercolor with, or I'm sorry, not watercolor, ink blend with over melted embossing powder. Then you want to stay away from oxides and stay away from pigment inks. At least in my experience, they do not work as well. Okay, set that aside. Move this. Now we're going to add some more color. We're going to use liquid purple tulip. Now this has, you can see the shimmer. Can you see that on camera? I think so. Settles down in the bottom. This is new. This is the new color this month. So just make sure you shake it up. And when you first take it out, to just make sure you kind of squeeze it. Because sometimes some extra will be left over in your whatever the heck this thing is called, and then when you squeeze it out, you're just gonna get all the pigment that, or the, not pigment, gosh guys, the shimmer that is settled down into the bottom of the, why can't I think of what this thing is called? Did you guys know I was a physics major for my first year of college? I can't remember what that's called. Someone tell me. We're gonna add a little bit of water here. You could do this on your work surface too if you wanted. I'm gonna mix it up here. And so now when I do my watercoloring over my octopus, that ink that we ink blended with the pigment ink is not gonna change. Dropper. Thank you, Nicole. Yes, the dropper. Sometimes my brain does not work at all. So we're gonna come in and I'm just gonna color in some of the shading areas with this and some of the like bottom parts of his fun little tentacles. No real rhyme or reason to this. I'm kind of just thinking he'd have fun little darker spots on him down here towards the bottom. So we'll come in. Now, with the heat embossing, it acts as like a little reservoir, so it's a lot easier to watercolor on an image that has been heat embossed with clear embossing powder, because it's a lot harder to go out of the lines as you're adding the color. Yes, they are. Words are hard. I was telling the ladies last week when it was live, I was like, come struggle with Charlene, or come watch Charlene every week as she struggles with words. All right, here we go. Oh, look how cute he's looking with all of his fun little purple tentacles. I like him. Just dabbing here and there. I'm gonna bring some shading up on here. It's not really shading either. It's more like just little accents where I think some of this darker purple would look nice. And keep in mind, when this purple dries, it is going to be shimmery. So you're gonna have that extra added layer of mixed media. Now, all mixed media means, you guys, is that you use more than one medium. Like, so technically, pretty much every card ever made is mixed media, right? Because you're using some kind of ink, and usually, like, if you're coloring, you're using an alcohol marker, or maybe you've done a little bit of splatter or whatever. That's all mixed media. But I think most of the time when you hear people say mixed media cards, they are thinking more along the lines of you've used some kind of paint or some kind of paste. And I don't know why, but that just seems to be the case. But the more kinds of mediums you use, one, the more kind of varied your card's going to be, and the more interesting it's going to be to look at. And two, you guys, the fun part about these mixed media cards is you can break out all the stuff that's sitting there that maybe you ordered, you're scared to use, or you've been wanting to order some of the paper splatters and some of the pastes, and you're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Just get them all out and just start adding them in different ways to your card. Like, there's no wrong or right way to do it. And that's why a lot of people kind of like, once they start doing mixed media, they become mixed media people, right? They're like, oh my gosh, this is so cool and so easy, and you can just add more stuff and it doesn't have to be perfect, and you don't have to worry about if your shading looks good or all these things. And you get to use all of your products. You get to have fun and play. Exactly. I just see Yvette said, just play. That's right. You just get to play when you're using mixed media. It's not so focused on, oh my gosh, I'm hoping this comes out perfect. Let's see. I think I missed this question here. Oh, Dawn, you moved back to Nebraska. Oh, hi. Is it Deanna or Dina? I'm not sure. Welcome. You had a question. What plate that you use with the magic mat? Oh, on my Spellbinders Platinum 6. This is the older Platinum 6. It is not the new version. So I just have the platform, my magic mat, and then my regular top cutting plate. And it works great. Hi, Vicki. Jennifer, I do not know when the new Olo sets are shipping. If you pre-ordered them off of the Pick Event Studios website, I don't know. Nicole's here. She might know in the comments, but you could always email customer service. They are fantastic and really good about answering any questions that you have. I'm waiting on mine. I have not received mine yet, so I am excited for them. All right, So we'll bring back in our piece here. Look at this coolness. So it started to dry. It's not completely dry yet. You can see it started to dry there. How fun is that? So we're gonna bring in our little octopus and we're gonna tuck him in here somehow. I think I did it like this so that he looks like he's just chilling out in our little scene there. We'll get some glue on him. And you can see this is a little bit warped. Once it's totally dry, I will kind of bend it a little bit to get it to go flat and straight. And then also when I adhere it to the card base, it'll help kind of flatten it out, but it's still a little bit wet. So I don't want to mess with it too much here. Okay, Nicole said, I've asked, but I think they were overwhelmed with the number of colorists that were wanting it. Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me because everybody who has tried the Olos that I know of loves them. And the only complaint I had, you guys knew, was that I felt like there needed to be more colors. So I am super excited for the new colors. I think they're still available for pre-order over on the Pigment Studios website, I think. Can't remember now. We had an awesome sale on Olos last week, I feel like. So hopefully some of you managed to take advantage of that because it was so good. Okay. So I'm going to very carefully, which is easier said than done, kind of just tuck him in here. Now I would normally wait until this was completely dry to do this, but we're on a live and time waits for no man or whatever that saying is. Lives wait for no man. Okay, I think he looks pretty good right there. I'm just gonna kind of press him down in the center. I don't care if his little tentacles kind of come up here and there, so I'm just gonna not mess with those. But look at our little beach scene we've created. How cool is that? Scene building with mixed media, people. So much fun. You've reordered 5 times, Nicole? Wow. Yeah, people are excited. Oh, and also, Olo's also an American small business. Good point. Very good point. Jennifer, yes, I do have some suggestions. One, what kind of paper are you using? That would be my first question before suggestion, I guess. Paper matters a lot when it comes to alcohol marker coloring. If you have not tried it, my suggestion for an inexpensive paper, now the cream of the crop, the best of the best is Express It blending paper. But if you want an inexpensive alternative, try the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock. This is what I use, and it is fantastic for alcohol marker coloring. It doesn't absorb as much of the ink, so it has less possibility of bleeding over the stamped line. Another thing you can try doing is putting a piece of copy paper underneath your cardstock while you're drawing or while you're coloring, and that paper underneath kind of helps to pull the ink down into the copy paper instead of it bleeding over the lines. Let's see. Yeah, Nina Solar White is really difficult to color with alcohol markers. I've done a lot of alcohol marker coloring, and I'm still not always confident using Nina for alcohol markers. You really can't do a lot of passes. But yeah, try the Spectrum Noir paper, or try putting a piece of copy paper underneath. both are good options. Let's see. Karen Markers, Judy Marker, they send me Olo too. Same company? I don't think so, Vicky. Vicky asked this question. I don't think so. I don't know, honestly. I'll have to look it up and see, but I don't know. Sorry. Okay, so here's this piece. What time are we at? 11:02. Oh my gosh, you guys, we are going over. We're going over on time. I'm a chatterbox. Let's grab a card base. Do I have one? No, because that would be smart. Charlene, why don't you have a card base? Let me grab one. So I'm going to do my stamping directly onto my card base. So just cutting a piece of 110-pound Nina. That's what I like to use for my card bases. I think it's super sturdy and works really well. And grab my scoreboard. Score this at 4 1/4. Flip and fold. Make sure to get a nice crease on here. Ooh. Throw my little, I don't know what that's called. It's not really a bone folder. It's not made out of bones. Okay, Nicole said, yes, it is the same company. Oh, interesting. They changed the nibs on some of the Karen markers to a real brush, like Zig. Huh, interesting. Nicole is in the know. She knows all these fancy things. I just create pretty cards. I don't know what to tell you. Okay, I am going to use a little piece of my highlighter tape to hold this down on the inside. That's how you can stamp on the front of a card base. Or if you want to, you can just put a little tape up here. Or if you had a magnet, you could put it there as well. I am looking for my marbles because I've lost them. We're going to use the U Octopi My Thoughts sentiment from the same set. And I want this, I'm not going to glue it down right now during the live, you guys, because it's still kind of wet. And I don't want to mess with it. But I do want to just use it here for positioning. I'm going to stamp the You Octopi My Thoughts sentiment. And I want it to be, oh, if you have that problem, by the way, you can use, here's another tip for you, hot off the presses. You can move this with an eraser. Grab a pencil. Your stamps won't stick to an eraser. They will to your fingers, but they won't to an eraser. So you can easily move it around and get it nice and straight on your card without it sticking to your fingers and annoying you 1,010%. It's pretty close to straight. Good enough. And we'll bring in our black hybrid ink. Stamp once, twice, 3 times a card. I'm not pressing very hard because I don't want to lose any of the line work on there. And voila. We will have, once I glue this on here, this fun scene built card with a cool scene with a fun purple octopus, you guys. So cool. Oh, Jennifer said her mind's blown about the eraser. I know, it's a handy tip. So here is the sample I made yesterday playing around with stuff. Now, I did add some sequins, and I added those from the Island Blues sequins. So there's like some sandy colored sequins and blue and iridescent in there. Really pretty. And you can put sequins into your velvet while it's still wet, and those will sit in there and adhere just fine. And then I use some of the blue iridescent ones on the water part. So once I dress the rest of this card up a little bit, it's going to look a lot more like this one. I'll add in a couple of little small fishy stamps from the set, and then a few sequins, and that's going to add enough little sparkle and shine to make it exciting. But I'm just so pleased with our little scene. It turned out so fun. Yay. All right, guys. What did Nicole said something fun here. What did she say? I spent half a day yesterday updating our bundles collection. Free dies for all in the bundles section on pfstamps.com. Ooh, you guys go check that out. I don't know what that's about, but it sounds like an awesome deal. And if you are interested in anything that I used today, be sure to check down in the description, or it's pinned. The supply list is pinned in the live comments as well, and you can find everything I used today. And I, of course, love it when you use those links. They are affiliate links, so I earn a little percentage, and that is awesome. So here, giveaway. Who wants a card? If you guys want me to send you happy mail, I will send this card to you if I pick you out of the comments. So I'll give you a minute to still leave a comment if you would like to be considered, and then I'll just randomly pick someone. I think I covered everything today. If anyone has any questions, you could always leave them in the comments to this video, and I am pretty good about going back and checking those comments and responding to them. You also can always send me an email. That's my email, and I'm happy to try and help you and answer your question. And I think that's it. I think so. I gave you guys a minute. Okay, you ready? I'm gonna close my eyes. And we're gonna just scroll. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'll stop at 12. How about that? Carla Hernandez, you are the lucky winner. Congratulations. I will send you some happy mail. Send me your address to mail it to. You can just email me with your address, and I will send this off in the mail to you once it's dry, because you don't want to send a wet card out, right? Thank you, everyone. I will be back again next Tuesday, 12 o'clock Central. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell on the Pick Event Studios YouTube channel so that you can come and hang out with me and watch me be weird and make cards. Sounds like the ideal Tuesday, right? Okay. All right, guys. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. And next week, I'll tell you all about how Create was. So excited. All right, guys. Bye.